Hello, Namaskar. Welcome to my pod, the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis. My name is Juggi Bhasin. To become a subscriber of the CAA Show, all you have to do is to press that red button. See that red button on your screen? Just press it. You become a subscriber. Subscription is completely free. When you become a subscriber, of course, you are privy to some very, very interesting content, which we keep churning out. And would also appreciate if you could like this video and share this video with your friends. Okay, today's topic is very, very interesting. It is about this fellow Ranveer Allahbadia. I hope I've got the pronunciation right, because I had never heard of this fellow before, or that of his podcast, that is Bare Biceps. Though millions of others, youngsters, have obviously heard about him. They follow him. They are fans of him. But I had never heard of this fellow till about 2 days back. And so Mr. Ranveer Allahbadia is in big news, but he's also in big trouble. And to some extent, I would say rightly so also, because the remarks that he has made are vile, they are disgusting, they cannot be defended. But I'm arguing in this podcast, is the issue only about Ranveer Allahbadia? Is the issue only about sending him to, some would say, even to jail? Or do we need to take a larger look at the media scene today, that how compromised our media has become? I won't be spending too much of time talking about the entire media, but there are some two or three important points which I would like to raise in this particular podcast. And these are all connected with this Ranveer Allahbadia episode. But before I do that, let me first tell you my take on this Ranveer Allahbadia fellow. As I said in the beginning, nobody in their sane mind can defend what he has said. These are absolutely vile and disgusting comments. But are they about incest? Are they about social morality? Um, I'm not too sure. I have a feeling that there is something else going on out here. I think these remarks were made, and I would agree with some people who are saying that these remarks were made deliberately. They were not off the cuff remarks, but these remarks are they were basically made for a profit motive. I think that is the real purpose. Because at the end of the day, the game in all these shows and all these podcasts is to acquire as many followers as you can. And to do that, you have to do completely crazy, outrageous things. You have to be in the news all the time. You know, it's something like what this fellow Ranveer has done is something like those people who keep jumping off cliffs, or people who, they don't even look backward, then they jump into nothing. And many people have died in the process. It's something very, very similar. You take this leap into the unknown. You get gasps, you get ohs, and oh, wow, what has he done? What has he said? You get that kind of a reaction, and then therefore the word spreads, and more people click into it. More and more people become your subscribers, and eventually those subscribers, they then translate into money. So money is the end motive of all these stunts, of all these utterances. And therefore, here's my personal take on this. If the law says that he has to be prosecuted, if he has to go to jail, well, so be it. Then he has to suffer the consequences. But if there is some leeway which can be given, or if this is a bit of a nebulous line that we really don't know what to do with this fellow, then I would say then something else should be done to him. We should not be applying very harsh punishments to him, because at the end of the day, this fellow is still a youngster. He is not a hardened criminal. Um, uh, so these things have to be kept into mind. He also has a large following. Some say there are almost 20 to 25 million youngsters following, which is a huge following. And therefore, those things have to be kept into mind. We don't want to be sending wrong signals to our youth, to our youngsters today. That also should be kept into mind. And therefore, what I would recommend is that this fellow, if a punishment has to be given to him, then instead of these, arresting him or jail terms or whatever, if that, as I said, has to be done, then it has to be done. But if there is another alternative, then he should be asked to undergo mandatory counseling. I think he needs to go into therapy. He needs to some kind of psychological counseling to clear up all the, his messed up head. I think that is far more important. That's the first part of it. And the second part of it is that maybe he should be taken off YouTube for at least 3 to 6 months. And in the process, of course, if he loses many of his followers, then that is the best lesson which he can learn. Because prison terms, prosecuting somebody, I don't think so. These things really help. It's like you send these kids who have committed crimes into juvenile prison, and all psychologists say, everybody, well meaning people say that a lot of these kids, when they come out, they only come out not reformed, but they come out as hardened criminals. So try a different approach here. That is what I would recommend. But as I said, I'm not too familiar with the laws of the land regarding this particular issue, and the law, of course, will take its own course. But this podcast is not so much about Ranveer Allahbadia or what he has done. We all know what he has done. I'm talking here about the larger problem of a compromised media. And why am I talking about that? Because if you have noticed, ever since this episode has broken and it has come in the public limelight, all kinds of people have jumped on the bandwagon to obviously condemn this fellow. And it's almost like a lynch mob has gone to work. I mean, I can understand the politicians, because the politicians, this is what they love to do. They just like to lynch. They'll just like to, they need a cause. And strangely, this time, both the opposition and the ruling party, everybody is combined together to condemn this fellow. To some extent, that is correct also. So it is this lynch mob mentality which is working right now. And the politicians, to that extent, are just right, because this is what politicians do. That's fine. But what really troubles me is the media, the podcasters who are, they are full of sound and fury regarding this particular case. And why I'm troubled by this is because of the double standards. Sorry. Because of the double standards of the media. I will explain that to you in a minute. What do I mean by that? Last night, I was watching this telecast on one of the news channels. I think maybe it was Times Now. And the anchor, she had taken on this very righteous, angry look. And my children cannot watch this kind of a thing. We need to condemn this. And she went on and on. Fine. My argument is that if these kind of things happen, that first of all, that please don't ask your kids to watch this kind of a thing. That obviously goes. But what she was trying to do in that was that she was trying to tailor the opinion of the invited guest into a particular kind of line of attack against this fellow. Some people were giving, more nuanced versions of what should be done with this Ranveer Allahbadia. But she was not taking that at all. She was not taking to that very kindly. And she was, all fury and angry on the show, which was completely, I thought, was completely misplaced. Listen to other people. Listen to what they have to say. There were actually some very constructive suggestions in that particular telecast. But no, it was this righteous anger which she was displaying. Then today morning, I was listening to another podcast by a right-wing podcaster, very prominent right-wing podcaster, who, who generally I like. He's pretty good. But this particular podcast I found to be very offensive because he suddenly took off in a totally different direction. I don't know where he had got hold of this information from, but he said, I believe that this guy is the son of some hoity-toity people. He has no Sanskriti. He started going in a totally different direction. And he has accumulated millions of followers by peddling out quasi pornographic kind of programs or stuff or interviews or whatever. That was the line, and he went on, and he actually ended up at the podcast by saying that all kinds of sections of the law should be applied against him, and this guy should be sent to jail, maybe not less than 2 years, maybe even to 5 years. I mean, I was quite stunned when I was listening to that. And I'll tell you what really was upsetting for me was that what really is happening out there are two things which are happening out here. A lot of podcasters, a lot of media people are like the politicians are ganging up to lynch this fellow in the hope of that, there is this jealousy element which is so very visible. Because let's face it, whether you like it or not, this fellow has about 25 million subscribers. That is huge. And at one go, you are saying that all these subscribers have been there, are coming because of your peddling out pornographic stuff. Is that true? I don't know. That's the first part of it. And the second part of it is that, is this the way that we start running down competition? Just because you don't have 25 million people, that doesn't mean that you start seeing bad things everywhere, blackness everywhere. That's the other part of it. But what for me is disturbing is something even more than this. The fact is, today, many podcasters, many media houses, many electronic news channels are getting compromised. And I'll give you a very interesting example. Now that the Aam Aadmi Party is out of power, but we all know what they had done vis-a-vis these media houses, these news channels. They were giving them ads. And there is this thing which is going around. A lot of people know about it, that I have no way of verifying it, but this is what the buzz is, that money which was spent, a part of that money used to go back to the party. And the channels were merrily lapping up these advertisements, because you would open your news channel and day in and day out, you would have these ads of the Aam Aadmi Party. They're still going on, by the way. And now these are the Punjab government ads. You can't watch any broadcast without seeing those ads of the Aam Aadmi Party. In other words, what you're really doing is that you are actually taking these ads and you are compromising yourself, because at the end of the day, it's about a profit motive. It's about making money. And so my question is this. Then what makes you so different from a Ranveer Allahbadia? And what is the difference between that fellow and you? Because he's also doing, as I said, he's doing it basically to get more and more views and to make money. And you are also compromising yourself to make money. And I'm not particularly talking of one particular news channel. I'm talking of all news channels. All of them were merrily lapping up these Aam Aadmi Party, ads, which they have been running day in and day out ad nauseum. This has been going on for months and months, if not years now, actually, if you think about it. And now the Punjab government ads. What's the difference? This is not so much, please understand this very, very carefully. This is not so much about a social morality issue. This is not about, as the NCWA chairman in this very grandiose manner she was speaking yesterday said, oh, our entire generation has gone haywire. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I think our youth, our younger generation are very sensible kids, all said and done. I would trust our younger people. I don't think that they've gone haywire. Maybe they have own versions and they have their own idea of fun and morality and all that. I grant that. But they have not gone haywire. They are a very sensible lot, and therefore please don't run younger people down. But at the end of the day, if you think about it very, very carefully, then what is the difference? It's all about making money. You have news channels who have compromised their reporting, who have compromised their political analysis because of these ads which were given by the Aam Aadmi Party, which is now out of power in Delhi. So, should not these news channels be held to account? And these same news channels today are ganging up. All these podcasters are now ganging up to condemn this रणवीर अलाबादिया. भैया पहले अपने घर में तो देखो कि तुम्हारे घर के अंदर क्या हो रहा है. Have a look inside your own backyard. What you are up to. See, at the end of the day, this Ranveer Allahbadia, this is just a flash in the pan. What is really worrying is that the quality, what is really worrying is that the content, the intent of news of media houses is getting compromised by these kind of political, I'm using the word consciously, bribery. That is really the big problem. And also, something else has happened, which is now, causing us to look all these things in a totally different light. You must have heard about the controversy of the US aid thing in the United States. And now the revelations are coming out. The Dodge has found out that this US aid has been funding, besides a lot of other, these charlatans and entities who have been causing coup d'etats in various countries, but they have been funding media houses. I mean, for instance, journals like Politico got $8 million from the USA. The BBC got money from USA. The New York Times got money from USA. And therefore, my question, which I'm asking, is that are we sure that our media houses, our podcasters, have not got money from USAID? And I can bet on my bottom, I'm using the word deliberately, bottom dollar, that yes, a lot of them have. They have got grants, they have got these monies flowing in from USAID or from agencies. I promise you that. And therefore, that is the real investigation which needs to be done. That is the real story. It's not this Ranveer Allahbadia fellow or whatever. I mean, this can be taken care of. This is not such a big thing which is like, completely. What is really worrying for us is the kind of money which has been coming in from abroad, the money which has been coming into these podcasters, into the pockets of these podcasters. There are all kinds of rumors going around, but I certainly don't want to take names because I don't have proof that those. Uh, but suddenly you find that there are podcasters and started by these so-called within quotes senior journalists. These podcast firms have suddenly become very big, and suddenly the viewership has trebled and they have gone through the roof. And then there are the rumors which are circulated. It's because of money, power, because a lot of views are brought, a lot of trolls, a lot of these bots, and a lot of these people are being pumped into the system. That is the real story we should be investigating. That is what our focus should be. If we have to, there is now talk that there will be some kind of a parliamentary committee which will examine what Ranveer Allahbadia has done, which I find is completely quite amusing, actually, in a way. If you want to constitute a parliamentary committee, constitute it on these things. This is what is important, because the future and the quality and the ethics of our news is at stake today. That is the real story. That is the real focus. That is the real focus that should be there, and not on these stupid, trivial, these kind of vile, disgusting remarks. This guy will be dealt with in his own way. He'll get his just desserts, I'm pretty sure. But think of the larger problem which is going on. That is the larger problem which is going on. Our media is getting compromised by the day. And therefore, I would just end this podcast on this note that at the end of the day, whatever be the case, we still have to have faith in our young. We can't lose faith in our young. Let's not become a lynch mob to our youngsters. Um, our times when our sense of morality, our sense of the what was priority for us, those things are different for this generation. Sometimes they go completely out of hand. Uh, Sure, I can understand that. Just to give another example, for instance, like that Sheeran fellow, I hope I got the pronunciation correct, was doing an impromptu gig in Bangalore, and the police came and unplugged him and said, "You can't do it." Now, well, these are younger people. This is how they are. They do things in this way. These pop-ups, as they keep saying, they come up. So youngsters have a slightly different way of looking at things, of doing things. They have a different set of ethics, morality. But I'm saying let's not lose hope in them. Let's not condemn them. Let's not castigate them. Let's not start talking and in podcasts say, oh, the penal section, this and this should be applied to these people because how dare they offend my morality. Please, for God's sake, you know, uh, let's be sensible out here. These are our kids, we are talking about. We need to protect them. If they go wayward, then there have to be other methods. We have to bring them back in the fold. If they have done something wrong, then yes, they need to be punished for it, but in a deserving manner, not in this completely policing kind of way that we ruin their lives by sending them over. We have to send them in prison for 4 or 5 years. That kind of nonsense should not be the case. And so I hope that as this issue, it will die down, obviously. But the issue that should remain in our minds is the quality of our podcasting and the quality of our media. I'll just end on this note, a personal note. Somebody like me, my podcast. I mean, I have no pretensions by saying, oh, I got 1 million followers, I got so many lakhs of followers. सर मेरे को तो जिस दिन 4 लोग अगर मेरे सब्सक्राइबर्स बन जाते हैं तो मैं तो बड़ा खुश हो जाता हूँ दैट्स गुड इनफ फॉर मी और इफ आई गेट इवन 100 व्यूज और 200 व्यूज और ऑन अ गुड डे आई गेट 1,000 व्यूज वट एवर आई एम डिलाइटेड बट दैट्स इट दैट्स द एक्सटेंट ऑफ माई एम्बिशन बिकॉज आई टेल यू व्हाई because I don't make a living from my podcasting. I do it because I enjoy it. But there are people out there who are into podcasting to make a living out of it. And when you make a living out of it, then the compromises start happening all the time. And the same thing is happening with those new channels, but in a slightly different way. This is what we need to be concerned about. And so, on this note, I come to the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, as I said, all your likes are welcome. You want to become subscribers, welcome. And today, if I get more than 5 or 6 subscribers for my show, I'll be delighted. That would be great for me. So on this happy note, thank you for watching and goodbye and cheers. Till next time.